Let's pick a random eyeshadow palette and create a look. This is the first one of the year, and now I did change a few things. I did go through my makeup collection, declutter a bunch of things. So the amount of palettes in here is a lot less. And the ones that we already did, there is even fewer in here too, because I decluttered a bunch of stuff. Now, don't worry, those palettes are going to a good home, but let's move on and get into this. 2025, I wanted to focus on using makeup that I already had. 2026, we are actually going to follow through with that even further and use what I have. So I definitely want to do one of these videos at least once a month. At least. So without further ado, let's go ahead, reach in. I'm going to grab a few options since I already have my base done. So we're just going to grab, I guess, this handful and see what we got. We have the Edward palette from Glamlight. There is the Garfield palette from Glamlight. Ooh, the Laguna palette, but that is a face palette. So I am going to put that one back in the box because it has face products and eyeshadows. We have Ghost Face Returns, which is Glamlight. There's still a lot of Glamlight in here. Should not be surprised. We have the Electric palette. I'm not really feeling that one today, so we're going to throw that back. We have Major Dimensions 2, which is my Patrick Ta palette. Maybe on that, because that might actually go with the base. Pokemon and ColourPop we'll save for another time. And then we have the Stoned palette, which I just used recently for my New Year's Eve look. So we're going to save that for a different time. I think I'm going to save Edward for a different time too, because I recently used this one. Garfield is just way too warm. We're going to put that back in the box. And then Ghost Face Returns, I'm not really feeling. So yeah, let's go ahead and go in with the Major Dimensions 2 palette, which is from Patrick Ta. And as always, the one that we are using is going into a separate container just so we don't pick it out again. So here's that palette. It is highly reflective. I'm not trying to blind you guys, but this is the colors that we have to work with here. And then these two are creams. Now, a few disclaimers here. I did not buy this with my own money. I know there's been some controversial subjects come up when it comes to Patrick Ta. If you see my Ipsy icon box where I got this, I don't remember what month that was, but I remember it was my first icon box before they changed it to Ultimate. I got this palette. Ipsy picked it for me. I did not pick this for myself. So without any further ado, let's go ahead, get into this now that we got all that out of the way. We're going to start with this shade right here, which is like a nice medium rosy tone brown shade, as you can see here. And we're just throwing this into the crease. Now, this eyeshadow palette, honestly, is not the best either. So I am kind of glad I didn't pick it for myself, or I'd be even more disappointed. But I noticed with this, these eyeshadows kind of get creasy if I don't use eyeshadow primer. And most of the time, I don't like to use eyeshadow primer. I just use it for like special occasions, or if I absolutely need my makeup to last a long time. But these eyeshadows won't even last me 6 hours without creasing. That's bad. And I have so many eyeshadows, like my ColourPop ones. I can wear my concealer as my eyeshadow primer like I normally do, and they don't crease for hours. Over 8. These don't even hold up for 6 hours. That's kind of bad. I am also going to take that shade on the lower lash line, just so we can make it a little more smoky, sexy, pretty. Let's go ahead and dive into this deeper shade over here now. Not quite the darkest shade in the palette, but the one right next to it. And we're going to start building this on this outer portion of the lid. And these shades do blend really nicely into one another. I just cannot justify $70 for an eyeshadow palette and they crease. Yeah, I can't justify that. I know there's so many girlies that love the Patrick Ta eyeshadows. I'm not the biggest fan. And like, I don't want to declutter this one because I feel bad because it is $70 and I really want to like it because it's so expensive and so luxe. The packaging is beautiful. The shades in here are beautiful. It's not the greatest. I prefer my Makeup by Mario ones. And those Master Mattes palettes are only $52, something like that. They're in the 50s. They're cheaper than these, and you get more shades. And they perform better. Now we're gonna go in with the deepest shade in the palette. I really do enjoy the mattes in here. Now, the more like metallic-y ones, I feel like really aren't the best. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I want more from this palette because it's $70. So don't feel bad if you don't have this palette. Honestly, if you want similar colors to this, but more and cheaper, I would recommend the ColourPop Smoke and Roses. I really like that palette. Quickly interrupting to go ahead and show you the Smoke and Roses palette from ColourPop. You can see there is some of those beautiful rosy brown tones in here. Is it exactly the same? Obviously not, but I feel like you definitely get more of a bang for your buck with the ColourPop compared to the Patrick Ta, and the formula is better. That's why I wanted to mention it here. And like I said, there's so many more eyeshadows in here, and this palette's like $35 compared to the $70 eyeshadow palette, and you can get a very similar kind of a look with the ColourPop. Then I'm also going to take a little bit of that dark shade here, and on the very outer edge of the lower lash line, connecting it up to the upper lash line, like so. Like, I really hope that this ends up working better for me in the future. Some way, somehow. I don't even know how it would, but that is my hope with this, and that's why I keep it around. Because, again, it is really pretty. It costs a lot of money. And this is kind of what made my Ipsy icon box that month, because this was one of the more expensive options for that box and something everybody was after. And I see so many girlies love it. I just want to love it too. And I don't. I just don't. So I am going to take this dark shimmer up here, like the darkest one in the palette. That is so, so pretty. And I'm going to start putting this on this very outer edge of where we have that dark matte shade. Another shade I haven't used is this one right next door, which is like a pure rose gold type shade. I'm going to layer that one right next to it. And then for that very inner corner, I'm going to do a different color. Now, I think for the very inner corner, I'm going to do the second lightest shade and not the lightest one, because I'm going to go back in with my face highlighter and reinforce that in the inner corner. And then I am going in with my Makeup by Mario highlighter, and we're going to obviously wrap the highlight around the eye, but also just reinforce the inner corner. I've been doing my inner corner highlight before eyeshadow and then just kind of reinforcing it after. And I don't know what it is about doing it that way. It just gives a whole nother effect, even though I'm putting highlight there after as well. It just really looks like a glow from within, and like that color is supposed to be there, if that makes sense. Almost like it's part of my skin. Alright, to finish off the eyes, we did a little wing, inner corner moment, mascara. Let's get into the lips. We have the Tower 28 pencil in the shade Work of Art, and the Tower 28 gloss in Pistachio. I've not done this lip combo in a long time. This color is beautiful. So I just lined with that. Let's go ahead and fill in with this gloss. Why is it called Pistachio and it's like a nude pinky color? Not sure, but it is gorgeous. And here's the finished look for Random Eyeshadow Palette Drawing 24 using the Patrick Ta Major Dimensions 2. I really do love how this look turned out. I feel like I need to use this palette with maybe an eyeshadow primer, see if it creases or not. That's really the ultimate test with this one. But obviously, since it was a random eyeshadow palette drawing, I didn't use eyeshadow primer. I just did my usual, which is putting my concealer on my lid, topping that on with the setting powder, and then putting eyeshadow on top. That works for every other palette I own except this one. This is the only palette I've ever tried, and that technique has not worked. So I don't know what it is about this one, but it don't work like that. Which is kind of a shame because the price point, and I really want to like it since I own it, but it is what it is, I guess. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and watching this video. If you like any kind of makeup content, if you like the random eyeshadow palette drawings, I do a bunch over here, so definitely like and subscribe before you leave. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.